Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to create the backend form to our widget with these fields here. Alright, so to do this we need to go back to our class and we're going to be working in this form function. Now rather than just put everything in here, I'd like to just point to another function because I want these four, core functions to look really clean. Alright, so what we'll do here, we'll say call form function, and let's say this get form. Alright, now we're using this because we're using object-oriented programming. Okay, we're in a class. So if we want to call a function, another function that's in the same class, we need to use this. Alright, it just encapsulates everything. Alright, so down here at the bottom, I'll just copy that. Paste that in. Let's change this. We'll say gets and displays form. Alright, and we're going to change this to get form. Alright, and we do need to pass the instance, so let's grab that. Alright, so let's get rid of that. And just to make sure it still works, let's go ahead and end the PHP, and we'll say still works. Alright, so it still works. Now what we're going to have to do before we actually create the form is we'll need to check the database and see if there's already fields, if there's already values for these fields. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the social profile links. Alright, so let's see, we'll say get Facebook link. Alright, so we're going to check, and if they're not there, then we're going to provide a default value. Alright, so to do this, we're going to do an if statement, and we're going to say if is set, and we're going to use that instance value or instance variable, and let's put in here Facebook link. Alright, so we're going to check to see if there's already one there. If there is, then we'll say Facebook link is equal to, and we're going to call this escape attribute. And in here we're going to pass in this same thing. Alright, so if it's there, then keep it as is. Else, if it's not there, then we'll say Facebook link equals, and then we can provide a default value. So let's say HTTP, and we'll just say facebook.com. We won't point to a specific profile. Okay, so let's copy that. We're going to have to do this quite a few times. Okay, so let's take care of all the links first. So we got Facebook, let's do Twitter. So this will be Twitter link. Okay, we've also got to change these. Now this is kind of tedious, and I'm sure that you guys have better things to do than to watch me just do this. So what I'm going to do is add the rest of them, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I went ahead and did the rest of them. Alright, so we have Facebook link, Twitter, LinkedIn link, Google link, and then next we have the icons. So we have Facebook icon, alright, which by default is going to point to, I'm sorry, this should be image, not icons. They're going to point to a set of default icons, which you'll have in your program files. Let's see, is that it? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google. Okay, and then finally we have the icon width here. which by default we're going to set to 32. And if we take a look at, is that it? Yeah. So you can see we have these default icons, which look like that. Okay, very simple, very plain. If they want to change them, they can either change the URL or they can just replace these. Alright, so that's that. That should set all those default values for us. Alright, so now we need to work on the form. Before we do that, let's just make sure that there's no errors. Alright, so everything seems to be alright. So let's go here and replace this. And we're going to put our inputs in paragraphs. And we're going to have a label. And with a for attribute. And in the for attribute, we're going to say PHP echo. And this is going to be the label of the field, or the ID. So we're going to use get field ID. Alright, and then we're going to pass in, what is this one? This will be the Facebook URL, or Facebook link. Alright, so let's see, what else? We can now close the label. Alright, and then in here, we're going to say PHP echo. Actually, we're not going to do echo. What we're going to do is use _e, which is a translation function, in case you want to use multiple languages, or a user wants to use multiple languages in their WordPress site. So we're going to say Facebook. This will be the text that they actually see. So you want to use this kind of format. Why is it still yellow? We didn't close this one here. There we go. Alright, so that's the label. And then under the label, we'll have the input. So input, and we're going to give it a class of widefat. And that's just a WordPress class for the admin interface. And then we're going to have an ID. And we're going to use PHP here. We're just going to do the same thing we did right here. Okay, so that'll be the ID. All right, and then after the ID, we'll have the name. And we're going to open up PHP tags, and we're going to echo. This time we want to echo this get field name. Whoops, I want to say get underscore field underscore name. Alright, and then we're going to pass in here Facebook link. Okay, let's specify that we want this to be a text field, so we want type equals text. And then finally we want the value. Alright, so for the value, we're going to echo out, and we're going to wrap this in the escape attribute function. So escape attribute, and whoops, and then we want to put in our variables. So Facebook link. Sorry, this is really long. Yeah, so Facebook link. Whoops, and then we need to make sure we close that PHP. And that should do it for the input. Just check it over. Alright, so let's save that and see what we get. Okay, good. So we get our label, we get the input field, and we also have the default value, alright, which is coming from up here. Okay, we don't have anything saved in the database, so it's using this. Alright, once we save it, it's going to call the update function, which we'll do probably in the next video. Alright, and then it'll update. But for right now, I just want to get the form showing. I'm not going to worry about updating it yet. All right, so we're going to want to do this for all the fields, and it can be kind of tedious because there are a lot of fields. But again, we're just going to replace this with our Twitter link. Okay, other than that, it's going to be the exact same. This will be Twitter link. All right, so if we save that, we should get the input with the default value, which we do. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and just do the rest of these, and I'll be back. All right, guys, I'm back, and I did it a little differently. Okay, so when we get down to the form, what I did is instead of putting all the links together and then all the icons, I created a heading called Facebook, and then we have the Facebook link and then the Facebook icon. Okay, then we have Twitter, we have the Twitter link, Twitter icon. All right, so I did that for all of them, and then at the very end we have our icon with field. All right, so if we take a look at that, okay, so you can see we have an area for Facebook, we have the link, the icon, Twitter. I think it just looks a little nicer than having just a ton of fields and separating the links and the icons. All right, and then down here our icon width is 32. All right, so that's the backend interface. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and work with the update function so that we can actually update and save these.